When the red and blue lights painted the walls of the Riverside Grand Hotel at 4:47 in the morning, nobody could have imagined that the wedding reception, still humming with champagne-drunk laughter on the third floor, would become the crime scene that dominated every news channel for the next 6 months. But that's exactly what happened. And it all started with a phone call that came into Channel 7 News at 11:34 the night before. A call from a wedding guest who'd seen something they couldn't unsee. My name is Michael Torres, and I've been covering crime for 17 years. I've reported on gang violence, white-collar fraud, kidnappings that turned into nightmares. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what unfolded at the Hammond Price wedding. Because this wasn't just a murder. This was a spiral of secrets, lies, and betrayals so twisted that even now, sitting here with all the evidence laid out in front of me, I still find myself asking, how did nobody see this coming? Let me take you back to the beginning, back to when everything still looked perfect. Saturday, June 14th. The Riverside Grand Hotel was decorated like something out of a fairy tale, white roses everywhere, string lights that made the whole ballroom shimmer like starlight. 300 guests, dressed in their finest, gathering to witness the union of Claire Hammond and Dylan Price, a couple that everyone said was meant to be. Claire was a successful real estate agent, 34 years old, with that kind of effortless elegance that turned heads without trying. Dylan was 36, a corporate finance manager, tall and athletic, with an easy smile that made people trust him instantly. They'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 18 months, and according to everyone who knew them, they were perfect for each other. The ceremony was beautiful. Claire walked down the aisle in a dress that cost more than most people's cars, her eyes shining with tears of joy. Dylan's voice cracked when he said his vows. His best man, Marcus Webb, stood beside him. They'd been friends since college, roommates for 3 years, the kind of bond that looked unbreakable. Marcus handed over the rings right on cue. Everyone clapped, everyone cried. It was perfect. The reception started at 7. Dinner was served at 8. The first dance happened at 9:15, and Claire and Dylan looked so happy spinning under those lights that several guests later told police they'd felt emotional just watching them. But here's what nobody at that reception knew. By midnight, one person would be dead, and by morning, the entire story would explode across every news station in the country. The call came into our newsroom at 11:34 p.m. I was just about to leave, late shift, covering the overnight crime beat, when our tip line lit up. The woman on the phone was crying so hard she could barely speak. "I'm at a wedding," she said. "The Riverside Grand. I went upstairs to get my phone charger from my room, and I saw something. On the 7th floor, I think someone needs to know." My producer, Karen, took the call first. She gestured to me frantically. I picked up the second line. "Ma'am, this is Michael Torres with Channel 7. Can you tell me what you saw?" She was hyperventilating, the groom. "Dylan, he was in a hallway with another man. Oh God, they were kissing more than kissing. The door to one of the rooms was open and I could see." "Okay, slow down. Who was the other man?" "The best man, Marcus." "His best man. They didn't see me, but I saw them and I ran. I'm in my car now, I don't know what to do. Should I tell the bride? Should I?" Karen and I exchanged glances. This wasn't typical news. This was gossip, personal drama. But something about the woman's voice, the genuine distress, made me stay on the line. "Ma'am, I appreciate you calling, but this might be something you want to handle privately, or—" "No, you don't understand." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "There's more. I heard them talking. Before I saw them together, Marcus was saying something about ending this tonight, and Dylan said, 'She'll never have to know.' And then Marcus said something that made my blood run cold. He said, 'After tonight, none of this matters anymore.' I felt my spine straighten." "What do you think he meant by that?" "I don't know, but the way he said it, it sounded like a threat. It sounded like they were planning something." I got her information. Jennifer Castellanos, 42, a college friend of Claire's. I told her to go home, to stay safe, and that we'd look into it. But honestly, I thought it was just wedding drama. Messy, yes, newsworthy. Probably not, I was wrong. At 4:47 a.m., the call came through on the police scanner: homicide at the Riverside Grand Hotel. 7th floor, 1 victim. Multiple witnesses. I grabbed my camera operator and we were in the van within 3 minutes. By the time we arrived, the entire hotel was cordoned off, police everywhere. Guests standing in the lobby in their pajamas, some still in their wedding attire from the night before, looking confused and terrified. I found Detective Sarah Mendoza near the elevator bank. We'd worked together on stories before. She trusted me to report facts without sensationalizing. When she saw me, her expression was grim. "Michael, you're here fast. Got a tip earlier tonight. Is this connected to the Hammond Price wedding?" Her jaw tightened. "Yeah. Victim is Marcus Webb, the best man. Everything inside me went cold. Marcus Webb? He's dead. Found in his hotel room around 4:30 a.m. blunt force trauma to the head. Someone beat him to death with a champagne bottle." I thought about Jennifer's call, about what she'd seen, about what she'd heard. "Detective, I need to tell you something. I got a call last night." "From Jennifer Castellanos." "Yeah, we know. She called us too, about 20 minutes after the body was discovered. She couldn't sleep, turned on the news, saw our units here, put two and two together." Mendoza looked exhausted. "Michael, this is going to be a media circus. But I need you to be careful how you report this. The bride, Claire Hammond, she just found out her husband was having an affair with his best man. And now that man is dead and her husband is our primary suspect." The story exploded like a bomb. By noon that Sunday, every major network had picked it up. "Groom murders best man after secret affair exposed," screamed the headlines. The hotel security footage started leaking within hours. Not the murder itself, but everything else. Dylan and Marcus in the hallway at 11:20 p.m., kissing Dylan and Marcus entering Marcus's hotel room at 11:33 p.m. Dylan leaving at 12:47 a.m., his shirt untucked, his tie gone. But here's where it got complicated. Because Dylan didn't go back to his honeymoon suite. He went to the hotel bar. Security footage showed him sitting there, ordering drink after drink, until 3:15 a.m. The bartender, a guy named Luis Mendez, confirmed it. Dylan was there the whole time, clearly drunk, clearly upset. He kept saying, "I ruined everything," Luis told police. Said he'd made a terrible mistake. Asked me if I believed in love. I thought he was just a drunk newlywed having cold feet. I had no idea. So if Dylan was at the bar from 12:47 a.m. until 3:15 a.m., and Marcus was killed between 2:30 and 3 a.m. according to the medical examiner's initial report, Dylan had an alibi. Dozens of witnesses saw him at that bar. Security cameras showed he never left, which meant someone else killed Marcus Webb. The police investigation moved fast. They interviewed everyone at the wedding. And that's when the real story started to emerge. The story underneath the story. Claire Hammond was missing. Not missing in the sense that she disappeared. Missing in the sense that from 1:45 a.m. until 4:15 a.m., nobody could account for her whereabouts. She'd left the reception around 1:30 a.m., telling her maid of honor she felt sick and needed to lie down. She'd gone up to the honeymoon suite. But Dylan never came back that night. She was alone. Or was she? A housekeeper named Rosa Delgado came forward on Monday morning. She'd been working the night shift, cleaning floors, and around 2 a.m. she'd seen Claire in the hallway on the 7th floor. The same floor where Marcus's room was located. Claire was still in her wedding dress. She looked upset. Rosa asked if she needed help, but Claire just shook her head and walked toward the stairwell. She had something in her hand, Rosa told police. Something heavy wrapped in a towel. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Guests carry all kinds of things. The detective searched Claire's honeymoon suite. In the bathroom, stuffed in the back of the closet behind a stack of towels, they found a hotel bathrobe. It was covered in blood. Forensic analysis confirmed it was Marcus Webb's blood. Claire was arrested on Tuesday morning. The courtroom sketch artist couldn't capture the hollowness in her eyes when she was arraigned. She pleaded not guilty. Her lawyer, a sharp-dressed woman named Patricia Voss, argued that the evidence was circumstantial, that the bathrobe could have been planted, that Claire had been in shock, devastated by discovering her husband's affair, and had no motive to kill Marcus. But the prosecution told a different story. They said Claire had found out about the affair sometime during the reception. Maybe she'd gone looking for Dylan, gone up to the 7th floor, seen them together. Maybe she'd heard rumors. However it happened, she'd learned the truth. And in a rage, a moment of absolute devastation and betrayal, she'd confronted Marcus. The champagne bottle used to kill him? It came from the honeymoon suite. It had Claire's fingerprints on it. She'd brought it upstairs as part of the wedding night celebration, probably planning to share it with Dylan, not knowing he was with someone else. The prosecutor painted a picture of a woman who'd lost everything in one night: her marriage, her dignity, her future. And in that moment, with that bottle in her hand, she'd made a choice. But here's what kept me up at night, what kept millions of viewers glued to their screens as this trial unfolded over the next 4 months. Was that really what happened? Because the more we dug into the background of everyone involved, the more complicated this story became. Marcus Webb had a boyfriend. His name was Anthony Chen, and they'd been together for 2 years. Anthony was at the wedding, sitting in the back, watching Marcus stand up beside Dylan, watching them exchange those looks that everyone thought were just friendship. When detectives interviewed Anthony, he broke down completely. He confirmed that Marcus and Dylan had been having an affair for 8 months, that Marcus had been planning to tell Claire after the wedding, that the whole thing had spiraled out of control. Marcus loved Dylan, Anthony said through tears, but Dylan wouldn't leave Claire. He kept saying he had to go through with the wedding, that he couldn't humiliate her, that he'd figure everything out afterward. Marcus believed him. He thought Dylan would eventually choose him. Anthony had an alibi too. He'd left the reception at 11:00 p.m., devastated, unable to watch anymore. Security footage showed him leaving the hotel, getting in his car, driving away. His cell phone pinged at a bar 15 miles away at 11:47 p.m. He was there until closing at 2 a.m. The bartender remembered him. So if it wasn't Dylan and it wasn't Anthony, that left Claire. The trial was a media sensation. Court TV covered every minute. We ran nightly updates. The jury was sequestered and the evidence was damning. Claire's DNA was under Marcus's fingernails. He'd fought back. The timeline worked. She had motive. She had opportunity. The bathrobe with blood on it was hidden in her room. But there was something that bothered me, something that didn't fit. During a break in the proceedings, I managed to interview Jennifer Castellanos again, the woman who'd made that first call to our tip line. She agreed to meet me at a coffee shop, and when she sat down across from me, she looked haunted. "I keep replaying that night," she said. "Keep thinking about what I saw, what I heard." "Tell me again exactly what Marcus said." She closed her eyes. "After tonight, none of this matters anymore." That's what he said, and Dylan said, "She'll never have to know." "What do you think they meant?" I thought they meant they were planning to tell Claire to come clean. But now I wonder if they meant something else. Like what? Jennifer leaned forward. What if Marcus was planning to tell Claire himself? What if he was going to expose the affair, to force Dylan's hand? And what if, after tonight, none of this matters meant something was going to happen that would make the secret irrelevant? I felt a chill run down my spine. You think Marcus was planning something? I think Marcus was done being the secret, and maybe Dylan realized that. That conversation changed everything for me. I started looking at the evidence differently, and I found something the police had overlooked. Dylan's hotel room, separate from the honeymoon suite because of a mix-up with the reservations, was on the 8th floor, 2 floors above Marcus. When I pulled the security footage again, frame by frame, I saw something strange. At 3:18 a.m., 3 minutes after Dylan left the bar, the elevator to the 8th floor showed a figure entering. The camera angle was bad, the lighting dim, but the person was wearing a dark jacket. Dylan had been wearing a dark jacket. But at 3:22 a.m., the 8th floor hallway camera showed Dylan entering his room. He looked drunk, stumbling. He went inside. At 3:31 a.m., 9 minutes later, the stairwell camera on the 7th floor showed someone in a dark jacket leaving, walking quickly. Head down. The police had assumed it was a guest, but what if it wasn't? I brought this to Detective Mendoza. She was skeptical at first, but when we enhanced the footage, we saw something that stopped us both cold. The person leaving the stairwell at 3:31 a.m. was limping, favoring their right leg. Marcus Webb had fought back. The medical examiner confirmed his attacker would likely have sustained injuries during the struggle. Claire had no injuries. No bruises, no scratches, nothing. But when police checked Dylan's room again, really checked it this time, they found a pair of pants stuffed in the trash. They had blood on them and the right knee was torn. The case fell apart in slow motion. Dylan was rearrested. Under pressure, with his lawyer present, he finally confessed he'd lied about being at the bar the entire time. He'd left at 3:15 a.m., gone to his room to change clothes, then gone down to Marcus's room. He'd told Marcus they needed to talk, that he was going to tell Claire everything, that he wanted to be with Marcus. But then Marcus laughed. He said it was too late, that he'd already sent Claire an email at 2:45 a.m. telling her everything, showing her photos. Proof Marcus had been drunk, hurt, feeling used. He wanted Dylan to face consequences. Dylan panicked. They fought. Marcus said he was going to call Claire right then, make sure she'd seen the email. Dylan grabbed the champagne bottle. Marcus had opened one in his room, was drinking alone after Anthony left, and in a moment of rage and terror, Dylan hit him. Once, twice, 3 times. When Marcus stopped moving, Dylan realized what he'd done. He cleaned himself up as best he could, put the champagne bottle in a pillowcase, went to the honeymoon suite. Claire wasn't there. She was on a different floor, crying in a hallway bathroom after seeing the email Marcus sent. Dylan hid the bottle, the bathrobe he'd used to wipe blood off his hands. He planted evidence to make it look like Claire. Then he went back to his room, changed clothes, and at 4:30 a.m., he called the front desk to report hearing strange noises from Marcus's room. Claire had never killed anyone. She'd been set up by her own husband. The final verdict came down in November. Dylan Price was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. The footage of him being led away in handcuffs, still in his suit from court, went viral. His face showed no emotion, no remorse, nothing. Claire Hammond divorced him while he was awaiting sentencing. She changed her name back. Last I heard, she'd moved to a different state, was trying to rebuild her life away from the cameras, away from the nightmare that had been supposed to be the happiest day of her life. Anthony Chen gave a statement after the verdict. He said he'd loved Marcus, but he'd also known Marcus made a terrible mistake sending that email. He was hurt, Anthony said, and when you're hurt, you do things you regret, but he didn't deserve to die. Nobody deserves that. Jennifer Castellanos, the woman whose phone call started everything, told me months later that she wished she'd never made that call. Maybe if I hadn't, she said, maybe everything would have turned out differently. But I told her what I believed was true. She didn't cause any of this. She just revealed what was already there, festering beneath the surface. The Riverside Grand Hotel still operates. They removed the 7th floor from their bookable inventory for 6 months, renovated it completely. The room where Marcus died has a different number now. A different carpet, different wallpaper. As if changing the scenery could erase what happened. I've covered a lot of stories in my 17 years as a crime reporter, but this one stays with me because it wasn't really about a murder, not at its core. It was about secrets, about how the lies we tell ourselves and the people we love can build and build until they collapse into violence. About how a single moment, a decision to send an email, a decision to grab a bottle, a decision to hide the truth, can unravel everything. Dylan Price sat in that bar for hours, knowing what he'd done with Marcus, knowing his marriage was already over before it began, and instead of facing it, instead of being honest, he tried to bury it. He thought he could have both lives, thought he could keep everyone happy, keep all his secrets contained. But secrets don't stay buried, they never do. And on that June night, in that hotel where 300 people had celebrated love and commitment, 3 lives were destroyed because one man couldn't face the truth about who he really was. The case is closed now. The appeals will probably go on for years. But the real tragedy, the thing that keeps me awake sometimes, thinking about all those people in that ballroom, dancing and laughing while everything was falling apart upstairs, is how easily it all could have been different. If Dylan had been honest with Claire before the wedding, if Marcus had confronted Dylan privately instead of sending that email in a drunken rage, if Claire had been in her honeymoon suite instead of crying alone in a bathroom, if. But that's not what happened. And a man is dead. And 2 other people, 3 really, counting Anthony, have to live with the wreckage of that night for the rest of their lives. I still have the recording of Jennifer's first phone call. Sometimes I listen to it, hear the fear in her voice, the confusion. She had no idea what she was witnessing. How could she? None of us ever do. We see fragments, pieces, and we try to make sense of them. But the full picture, the real truth, usually comes out too late to stop what's already been set in motion. The last time I saw Claire Hammond, she was leaving the courthouse after the sentencing. Someone had leaked her location to the press, and there were cameras everywhere, reporters shouting questions. She didn't answer any of them. She just walked to her car, head down, shoulders hunched against the weight of a world that had labeled her first as a murderer, then as a victim. never just as a person trying to survive. I wanted to apologize for all of us, for turning her trauma into entertainment, her worst day into a ratings bonanza. But I didn't. I just watched her drive away, and I hoped, I still hope, that somewhere, somehow, she found peace. This case taught me something I should have known already. Behind every shocking headline, every viral news story, every sensational trial, there are real people whose lives have been shattered. And no amount of justice, no verdict, no prison sentence can put those pieces back together. Dylan Price killed Marcus Webb in a hotel room while his bride cried alone 2 floors above. The news cameras captured everything that came after. But what we couldn't capture, what no footage could ever show, was the moment when Dylan made his choice. The moment when everything still could have been different. That moment is gone now. Lost somewhere in that hotel hallway, in that terrible span of time between 3:18 and 3:31 a.m., when one man decided that protecting his secrets was worth more than another man's life. And 300 wedding guests, who had danced and celebrated just hours before, woke up to a nightmare that would follow them forever. That's the real story, not the affair. Not the murder, but the cost of living a lie. And how quickly paradise can turn into hell when the truth finally comes to light. Sometimes I think about that wedding cake. It's still sitting in the hotel's industrial freezer somewhere, probably 3 tiers of vanilla and raspberry, decorated with sugar flowers that took someone hours to craft. Claire and Dylan were supposed to save the top tier, freeze it, eat it on their first anniversary. That's the tradition, right? A sweet reminder of the day everything began. But there is no anniversary. There never will be, just a cake nobody wanted and a day nobody can forget. I've reported on murders for nearly 2 decades, and people always ask me the same thing. Doesn't it get to you? All that darkness, all that death? And the truth is, yes, it does. But it's not the violence that haunts me. It's the waste. It's thinking about all the moments before the tragedy, the moments when things could have gone differently, when someone could have told the truth, could have walked away, could have chosen honesty over convenience. Dylan Price had 100 opportunities to be honest, 100 moments to say, I can't do this. I'm not who you think I am. But he didn't. And Marcus Webb had opportunities too, to walk away from someone who would never fully choose him, to protect himself instead of hoping for a different outcome. And even Claire, in her own way, probably ignored red flags, signs that something wasn't right. We all do that sometimes. We see what we want to see. But the price of those illusions, those comfortable lies we tell ourselves, sometimes that price is unbearable. 300 people showed up to celebrate love that day, real love, the kind we all hope to find. The kind that makes life worth living. And what they witnessed instead was the destruction of it. Not just the end of one marriage, but a reminder of how fragile everything really is. How quickly joy can turn to grief. How the person standing next to you, promising forever, might be someone you don't really know at all. If there's anything I want you to take from this story, it's this. The truth always comes out, always so. It might take hours, days, years, but it comes, and the longer you wait, the higher the cost. Dylan thought he could manage his secrets, compartmentalize his life, keep everyone in their separate boxes, but life doesn't work that way. Secrets have weight, they press on you. They demand space, and eventually they explode. Marcus is gone. Dylan will spend the rest of his life in prison. Claire is somewhere trying to forget she was ever Claire Hammond Price. And Anthony, sweet Anthony, who loved someone else, has to carry the memory of a man he'll never see again. All of it because people couldn't face who they really were. So if you're keeping a secret that's eating at you, if you're living a lie that feels too big to correct, please find the courage to face it. Not for me, not for anyone watching this video, but for yourself. Because the alternative, the path Dylan chose, leads nowhere good. It leads to hotel rooms and champagne bottles and lives destroyed beyond repair. Love is complicated, identity is complicated. Life is messy and hard, and sometimes we don't know who we are or what we want, but that's human. That's okay. What's not okay is building your happiness on someone else's pain. What's not okay is making someone else live your lie with you. Claire Hammond deserved the truth. Marcus Webb deserved to be more than a secret, and even Dylan, maybe especially Dylan, deserved to live authentically, to be honest about who he was, instead of destroying everyone around him in a desperate attempt to appear normal. I don't know where they all are now. I don't know if any of them found peace, but I hope they did. I hope Claire rebuilt her life and found real love, the kind based on truth, not illusions. I hope Anthony healed from losing Marcus and Dylan. I hope he thinks about Marcus every single day. I hope he carries the weight of what he did and understands, finally, that there was another way. There was always another way. Rest in peace, Marcus Webb. You deserve better. You deserved honesty. You deserved love that didn't hide in hallways and hotel rooms. You deserved to be someone's first choice, not their secret. And to everyone else, all of us watching, trying to make sense of this tragedy, remember that the choices we make in private don't stay private. They ripple outward. They touch everyone around us, so choose truth. Choose courage, choose love that doesn't require lies to survive. Because in the end, that's all any of us really have. The truth of who we are, and the courage to live it. This story shook me to my core, and I know it probably affected you too. Take a moment and drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. Did Dylan deserve his sentence? Could this tragedy have been prevented? What would you have done if you were in Claire's shoes? I read every single comment, and I want to hear your perspective on this. And if this story moved you, if it made you think, if you want to hear more deep dives into cases that reveal the complicated truth about human nature, hit that subscribe button. We post news stories every week that'll make you question everything you thought you knew. Real cases, real people, real consequences. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and remember, the truth might be hard, but it's always better than the alternative.